Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about the updates to the Nemesis Kickstarter. Now, I want to apologize ahead of time, just right up front, if my voice is at all weird. I've been having this kind of really nasty sickness I've been getting over, and it's been wreaking havoc on my body and my voice as well, so I do apologize for that ahead of time. But anyway, let's get right into it. So one of the nice things that I thought that Awakened Realms does is they actually have an entire ideas doc. So they have this Google document that is filled to the brim of every single idea that anybody has had as a backer. And I think that's amazing and frightening all at the same time. Just because it's such a huge amount of data that unless they're like including this in like a daily scrum or something like that, it'd be really hard to go through all this. But they have obviously looked through it. They've been compiling it. They've been organizing it. And it's just really impressive. I've never seen any other company do this. And I'm just dumbfounded by how cool that is. So I'm going to break this out into optional buys, stretch goals, and then stuff that's upcoming. So let's start with the optional buys. Now, just to reiterate, all optional buys will be shipped with the second wave, which is scheduled for April 2019. So even if you do the 2-wave where you get the core box in September of 2018, all your stretch goals and optional buys won't come until April 2019. So just be aware of that. Now, the first thing obviously is the Carnivores expansion. They have now added that as an optional buy. It's $43 for 20 miniatures, 4 of them large, the rulebook, and all the various cards and tokens needed to play. As with the Void Seeders, the Carnivores replace the intruders during gameplay and are picked before the game starts. Now what that means is you will not be mixing enemy types at all. Instead you will be either playing against the intruders, or against the Void Seeders, or against the Carnivores, and you will use them from the beginning. Like the Void Seeders, the Carnivores change gameplay quite a bit. At the beginning, the only enemy type will be the larva metagorgers. A die is rolled every time they spawn to see how many actually appear, though it's typically 2 to 4. They deal a light wound, and then if they damage you and are not dead by the end of the round, then they escape to mutate from your DNA. What this means is a Shambler card is then added to the deck. Not only are they stronger, but they will also attempt to eat a dead body. If successful, then they too will mutate into a flesh beast. Now, speaking of dead bodies, because the Kickstarter has been so successful, we will be getting 2 additional male and female poses for dead bodies in the terrain expansion as well as different doors. Metagorgers will also receive alternative sculpts along with the other aliens, which is fantastic. So it starts with Metagorgers, who then turn into a Shambler if they hurt you and get away. And that Shambler, if they eat a dead body, turns into a flesh beast. The flesh beast is stronger than the intruder queen. You do not want to meet him. Apparently that sounds really, really bad. And again, a flesh beast is added to the deck in this instance. Players will have the ability to burn dead bodies found to prevent this from happening. However, they may damage ship rooms as well, so it's kind of a toss-up on which one you actually want to do. Additionally, with enough time, a Shambler can eat another Shambler and mutate into a Butcher, though only one of these can ever be present at a time. This seems to actually put more emphasis on combat, but at the early stages, to hopefully manage the Metagorgers before things go from bad to worse. Additionally, infection cards are replaced with mutation cards. They can be one-time or permanent and can be hugely disadvantageous or perhaps slightly okay, such as being unable to hold weapons but being better at hand-to-hand combat. As another optional buy, you can get the comic book Untold Stories. Now, Awakened Realms has brought this idea from This War of Mine, the board game. At certain times throughout the game, you will have to refer to the comic. You can think of this as a choose-your-own-adventure book where you make decisions that make you follow different paths around a story. That being said, sometimes it's literally just story snippets and there are no options to pick. Now there's been some contention over this as a stretch goal, so they made only 20 pages for a stretch goal and added an 80-page optional buy. Most of the contention I've seen is that it changes how the game is played and is therefore unfocused and doesn't make what is there better. I'd argue that the same is true for co-op, but I saw no such complaints at the time. Anyway, suffice it to say, I don't really get the contention on that. So moving on to stretch goals. The Void Seeder expansion has been completely unlocked. That's another 15 miniatures, plus cards, tokens, dice, and a rulebook. As you may recall, Void Seeders replace noise with insanity, eventually causing the aliens to actually be able to control your character. So you definitely want to watch out for that. Currently, the latest stretch goal is for turret rooms and a turret control room. It also comes with these turret miniatures. Essentially, turrets can be active or inactive, and they will deal wounds to anyone, player or alien. It sounds like the most beneficial way to use this is via the turret control room to either guard an area or perhaps even, take out somebody that you need to take out, or just manage the aliens. Also, there's a few upcoming things. So first of all, since hitting 20,000 backers, Awaken Realms is cooking something special up for this milestone, though we have yet to see what that is, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be really good. Additionally, the Aftermath expansion is continuing to be made based off of backer feedback. So the Aftermath expansion is an expansion that the backers are able to create that is a whole new set of characters that come after the events of Nemesis. So essentially it's this Aftermath team that are coming in. Now, recently backers were able to decide on a cover art of the expansion and pick up the second Aftermath character, the Therapist. Options range from an entire robot to an old guy and everything in between. There's a lot of different options there, and we'll kind of see where that goes. The first character picked was an android, and it ended up being a female android. So I'm not sure if that means that this Therapist will most likely be male or not. I guess we'll have to find out what people vote. But anyway, guys, that's it. Again, I apologize for my voice. I'm sure it sounds terrible. There's not a whole lot I can do about that, except get better, which I hope to do soon. Anyway, give it a thumbs up if you did like this video. That's always appreciated. I'd like to know in the comments if there are any questions you guys have. For instance, I had to ask on the Kickstarter itself about the comic book, The Untold Stories, because it shows it as both a stretch goal and an optional buy, and there wasn't a lot of clarification of the 20 pages versus 80 pages. And so not everything is, you know, super obvious all the time. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I always appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you guys again real soon.